When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish, the podcast that's got holes in different area codes. I'm Kyle Getz, and I am here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And as you can already tell, you've got just me today. Well, Mike is out traveling the world on vacation right now. So in his place, we have Derek, our producer. Hey, Derek.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Happy Pride, Derek?
Oh, happy Pride. I forgot it was Pride Month of all things.
Yeah. Have you done anything for Pride so far?
Yeah, but I don't remember his name.
Great. The celebration continues. You have so many more days ahead of you.
Right? Yeah, it's like Hanukkah.
Is that true? Do you light a candle every guy you fuck?
I was thinking more about like the gifts and the packages, but yeah, I'm going to start lighting candles too. That sounds
okay.
It sets a nice atmosphere. So by like the end of the month, there'll be like 30 candles here. It'll be a nice like for that
romantic.
grand finale. Yeah, it'll be great.
Today we're going to talk about U-Hauls.
We're going to talk about U-Hauls.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But for now, here's the news.
Shut your mouth hole, it's time for your ear holes. News.
All right, news the first. Duolingo. Do you use Duolingo?
Oh, God, no.
Why? You seem aghast or something.
I'm a classroom, language person. I got to have people there. Duolingo is more like the gamification of it. It just can't do it. But what do they do? I got to know more.
Duolingo removed LGBTQ references in Russia.
I heard about it.
So this is a New York Post article by Ariel Zilber. Russia's communications director told Duolingo that it had to censor material that promoted non-traditional sexual relations and LGBT propaganda. So, when you're filling out a sentence, you can no longer, Vlad and Tony can no longer be husbands or whatever.
Do we know if this is pushing elsewhere? Like, when they canceled, what was it? When they made, you had to put your ID in for Pornhub or something like that. Like those kind of things push out. Or like when they make laws in California, the companies do it everywhere because it's hard to segment to one group. Like
it seems like this was just Russia that I know of.
For now.
We'll read what the Duolingo spokesperson said. Quote, "We support LGBTQ rights and believe in normalizing LGBTQ representation in our content. Unfortunately, local laws prohibit us from including certain content in Russia." So it does seem like this is contained to just Russia.
For now,
that's true. Who knows what other countries could then, now that they see that it works with Russia, could threaten this. I don't know how I feel about this because they're both like following the law that they're required to, but also it sucks because they're not pushing for LGBTQ rights by breaking the law where they see like it doesn't fit their values.
I mean, this is always the case with companies, right? Like they're out there to make money. And as soon as something affects their bottom line, are they going to like stand up for values? Or are they going to stand up for their bottom line? And the answer is always going to be the bottom.
Yep. Always choose the bottom line. Since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, Russia has been exercising greater control over what its citizens consume on the internet. It has been doing that by throttling access to WhatsApp and Telegram. And the Russian courts have even fined Google tens of millions of dollars for publishing what its government calls fake information. So Duolingo is not the only one feeling the effects of Russia's government censorship.
Yeah, this whole Russia thing has me scared for what's coming down the line. And like, we're not giving funding to Ukraine or not as much. And I'm worried about what's going to happen when Russia wins at this point and how much more of their influence they're going to push.
The last thing we need is more of Russia's world influence.
right? But I should get on Duolingo and learn Russian. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes. The heterosexual Russian is what you need to learn. News the second. Companies blasted for supporting Pride last year appear to be pulling back this year. So this is from a Forbes article by Connor Murray. Companies like Bud Light and Target that were criticized and even attacked last year for their support of Pride have now started to pull back on their Pride support this year. So, for example, Bud Light had the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing where they gave Dylan Mulvaney a Bud Light with her face on it, and they faced backlash and decreased sales. With this article said their sales are still like down as a result of the backlash from this. So they've
from last year still.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think Americans had that much of an attention span to remember these kind of things.
I feel like conservatives move on to the next thing so quickly. Bud Light has not mentioned Pride on its social media yet, and instead has promoted its partnership with UFC and MMA fighter Dustin Poirier. So really leaning into the straight bro dude aesthetic. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, right?
Target last year was criticized and employees were even harassed over their Pride merchandise. Conservatives accused them of sexualizing children over the false claims that they were selling tuck-friendly swimsuits for kids, which those were actually only available in adult sizes, so it wasn't actually true. But this year, Target has already announced that it was going to scale back Pride merchandise, so it's not a too big of a surprise, has not posted for Pride on its social media.
Do you feel like the opposite backlash? Like, are you less willing to go buy Pride stuff at Target knowing that they're pulling back in certain stores?
I was never willing to buy anything at Target because I don't shop for things in person. I don't know. This makes me want to go buy more Pride stuff from Target to counteract the negative. Like I remember Mike during the Dylan Mulvaney thing, Mike was drinking more Bud Light. He doesn't drink Bud Light. He was drinking Bud Light for the first time in order to help counteract some of the negativity and the decreased sales. And so if anything, it would encourage me to do this more to show them that it does financially pay to support LGBT people. But
I wish it was easier for us to know where it was responsible to put our money, right? Like, even so, as you know, every Saturday I post on our Instagram, the Gayest and Straightest, and with, some pictures, people send in their Gayest and Straightest. Check out our Instagram if you haven't already at Gayish Podcast. And somebody posted that they got on their Pride dungaroos or whatever they're called. And I looked for some, and immediately the first thing that came up was Target dungarees. And my initial reaction was, let's find a different pair and not promote Target. I don't know why I had that reaction, but I'm like, are they good to support? Are they bad to support? I don't know.
Yeah. There is I have not checked in a while. The HRC does do their ranking of their corporate equality index that gives a score to companies. That's a good thing to check to see how well they do at LGBT issues.
Right. Well, people still buying Chick-fil-A. Lots of gay people still buying Chick-fil-A.
That's true. Their chicken can't be that good.
I got nothing. I haven't had Chick-fil-A in for years.
Neither have I. Just the counterpoint is that Bud Light is still a sponsor of Chicago Pride Fest, Houston Pride, other prides. Target is a sponsor of San Francisco Pride, New York Pride, and others. So they haven't completely pulled back all of their support. It just seems like it's more prevalent in certain stores for Target and online. News the last. Derek, they came for Dolly.
Oh, the sheep?
Yep. That sheep you remember from 12 years ago or however long it was. This is a Yahoo Entertainment article by Caitlin Riley. An essay was published in The Federalist, which is a conservative news site, by Erica Anderson. And the headline read, "There's nothing loving about Dolly Parton's false gospel." And in the essay, Erica criticized Dolly Parton's support for LGBTQ people, saying that if she truly was a Christian, she would call homosexuality a sin. Dolly is known for her support of LGBTQ people. In the quote in the article that I read was from 2023, demonstrating her support. She said, quote, "I have some of everybody in my own immediate family and in my circle of employees. I've got transgender people, I've got gays, I've got lesbians, I've got drunks, I've got drug addicts, all within my own family. I know and love them all, and I do not judge." Which surely there was, I mean, okay, I know where you're going, Dolly, but to be like both gays and drug addicts, they're the same thing. I don't know that that was the best quote to pull to demonstrate her support of LGBTQ people, but I know where she was going with it.
No, yeah. I growing up half Catholic, Christians are pretty hypocritical about like, you know, they're going to go do one thing, they're going to pick and choose from the Bible, and then if they don't like something, they're going to go attack it. If anyone's a Christian here, it's Dolly, right?
Yes.
Just kind of like she is promoting, you know, the Christian ideals of like, let's treat everyone fairly, love everyone, and let God judge if there is one, which that's neither here nor there. But
yeah, no, Derek, while you're on the show, let's really get into your beliefs on God. Do you think there's a God?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. No. That was an easy conversation then.
That was a very easy conversation. Yeah.
In response to the essay in the Federalist, there was widespread backlash. For example, on X, formerly Twitter, one user wrote, "They came for Dolly. We ride at dawn." The author now says, quote, "I regret using Dolly as the example for the point I was trying to make in the article."
Good. I would defend Dolly as well. She is an American hero.
Yep. She's an all-around legend and icon and beloved by everyone.
Absolutely. And end of story. Everyone loves Dolly. Yep. Or else.
Well, that's the news. Speaking of people that are most beloved, I want to thank the following new Patreon members. Thank you to Jackson Murphy. Thank you to, Whittled Borowski, maybe. Thank you to Loco Motive, to Sean Perry, and to Will Darnell. Thank you for your support. If you want to support the show, get ad-free episodes a day early, get bonus content, get a shirt, use Mike's Hole, join Patreon happy hours, lots of benefits. Go to patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
Great. Thank you, Patreon.
Do you want to talk about U-Hauls?
Not personally. I'll let the professionals talk about U-Hauls. We
do have guests that are coming up to talk about. We have Kris and Shana from the Bad Queers podcast who have been on the show before. They're friends of the show. We've been on their show as well. So I'm excited to have them on to talk about U-Hauls. But what is the stereotype as you know it, Derek?
Stereotype as I know it is, one lesbian meets another lesbian and they fall madly in love. They move in together and they have children. And that's the first week of their relationship.
Yep. There's the old joke, what does a lesbian bring on a second date? The answer is...
like, what is it? Everything the kitchen sink? Like,
no.
Yeah.
No, the answer is a U-Haul.
U-Haul. I knew there was something in there, yeah.
The other joke then, the follow-up joke is, what does a gay man bring on a second date? And the answer is, what second date?
Oh, that hurts. Because it's true.
Do you fall more on the lesbian stereotype or the gay stereotype?
Yes.
Yes?
I can never get past the first date. Like, always like, it's not, if I could get them past the first date, yes, I'd probably be more of a lesbian, right?
Okay.
Like, bag them and tag them by 1 month in.
Do you say bag them and tag them to their face? Because if so...
Maybe that's why I don't get past the first date.
I'm going to tell you the history of U-Hauls. Not really, but I do have a one sentence history on the joke. Apparently that U-Haul joke, what does a lesbian bring on a second date? That joke is attributed to Leah Delaria, who says in her 1997 comedy album, she says that she wrote it in 1989. Apparently on the album, she says the setup to the joke and the audience yells back the punchline. So it was already a thing. So she claimed that she wrote the joke. And so it gets attributed to her.
Do you think this is a real thing?
I read this on Wikipedia, so this is the extent of my knowledge.
the U-hauling aspect. Like, do you think this is a real stereotype?
I have a little bit of data that I'm going to share. So I'm not going to give it away too much, but I've heard this enough. And from articles I read, it seems like lesbians seem to think that there's something to it. So I think there's something there. I think like I would put Mike more in the U-Haul lesbian stereotype. So
Agreed.
like, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for him to listen to this episode, and I don't think that'll surprise him that I said that.
Not at all. No.
But I think it's one of those stereotypes that like a lot of different people fit this stereotype, but because it's been made to be a thing about lesbians, we notice it more often. When there's a stereotype about it, we notice when it does happen. And then it's like that effect where, what's it called when like, if you mention something to someone like a type of car, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. It's because this is a stereotype, you see it more often than.
Is that a self-fulfilling prophecy, or is that completely different?
Something like that. There's
totally.
like the something effect.
If you get past the first date, are you a U-hauler, or are you?
I'm more the gay stereotype. I don't really get past the first date. And it's just because I'm not that interested in many people. It's hard for me. I don't like fall for people too often.
All right.
And when I do, then I'm really into them, but it's just very rare for me.
Okay. All right.
So I do a lot of sending that text message that was like, it's so great to meet you. I see you as more of a friend, like that kind of thing.
Oh, I don't get a lot of those text messages because, the gay culture is full of, it's a graveyard. It's full of ghosts.
Yeah. You just get ghosted.
I get ghosted a lot, which is fine. It's cool. It happens.
Is it?
I'm sure I do it too. I can't like be upset about something that I probably feed into as well.
I think I choose when, like, there's a difference between ghosting, like we exchange 2 sentences on an app and I stop talking to you, versus like if we go on a date, then I think I owe it to you to reply and say if I'm interested or not.
Does it matter what you do on the date? Like if you go on a coffee date and like hang out for an hour versus like you go to dinner and then bring them home and you hook up with them, like does that make a difference on if you're going to ghost them versus like,
if we hook up, I owe you nothing. Like if we're just on sniffies and we fuck,
well,
like,
but what if you have dinner first? Like you go out to dinner.
Why would I do that? I don't understand the question. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't do date. I either go on a date where I get drinks with you and there's no sex, or we have sex. Those are the 2 dates that I offer.
Do you find, I was talking about this last night, the more that you like someone, the less likely you are to have sex with them early on in the relationship life cycle?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, me too. The more I don't like you, the more likely I am to have sex with you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're like attractive, but you're kind of annoying, like I'll still have sex with you. That's fine.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have to talk at all.
Anything to keep your mouth full.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are going to bring in our U-Haul lesbian stereotype experts, Kris and Shana, in just a moment. So, do you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
All right, we're back. We are here with Kris and Shana, the bad queers. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, y'all.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
It is.
Happy Pride, everybody.
It is Pride Month. What
It's
a
a
great time to
season.
be.
What a great time to be. Any big plans for Pride so far?
No, I'm traveling for work, so there is Pride events within work, which is good, but it's still work. But nothing. I don't know. San Francisco or the Bay Area is at the end of the month, so maybe something, but I don't know. No big plans.
What about you, Shana?
I'm lucky enough to not be traveling this month, as much as I would love to go and do a mini tour of all of the other Pride moments. I actually have been traveling a lot. So I will be here, and Chicago already does month-long Pride things. So I already have like 2 queer parties we're going to. We have Pride Fest. At the end of the month will be our Pride Bowl, which is the flag football league I play in. It'll be a tournament that is hosted in Chicago. We'll have our Pride Parade, and I think I'm going to be in the parade as well. My friends are hosting queer comedy shows. So I'm just filling my social calendar with things around Chicago.
You've got so much pride.
So much.
Right? I was like, that's so well rounded. I was like, I think you hit every category that you
Thank
could.
you so much.
Yeah, all the lunch tables in high school. Like all of them. Each and every one of them.
Speaking of your recent travels, you all were recently selected to be a part of GLAAD's Voices Stay Proud campaign, which recognized Black and Brown storytellers, along with friends of the show Minority Report. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
What was that like, traveling to meet all these other people that do podcasts?
It was an amazing experience. First off, me and Shana hadn't seen each other in person in 3 years because it's just lost to the COVID years. And we record virtually every week, but we hadn't, seen each other. So that was great, obviously, just being able to get together. But all of the other podcasts and storytellers who were on there are just incredible. It was such a warm and fun day. Like everybody clicked, and it was just a fun photo shoot. Everybody was comfortable. The vibes were immaculate. The best dressed people.
The best dressed.
The best dressed.
The way I was just like,
amazing.
Wow, can y'all have sent us your Pinterest boards and all of the places that you shop ahead of time so that we didn't show up in that way? Like we made it, but I sure was impressed with the fashion.
Yeah. And then just the message. I mean, our day embodied the message of, Voices Stay Proud, and just how, all of the, talking about everybody and the background of their production and how they, create. And it's all unique, but, the shared experiences. So we, swapped stories and, chatted about different things. Beyonce was in the background for pretty much the whole day. So obviously that's a great day. So it was an amazing time. It really was. Like, it's so cool to be a part of that. And, shout out to Surface Level Podcast for inviting us to be on the campaign.
That's awesome. Well, congrats. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the U-Haul stereotype. Mm-hmm. What is this? We brought in some lesbian experts, which is what I consider y'all. What is the stereotype as you understand it?
Yeah, so U-hauling is basically...
Oh, it's a verb.
It is an action. It is definitely a verb. It is an action that you take. And so U-hauling is basically a joke that we have amongst queer women when they go on a first date. The first date ends up being so long that by the time you hit the second date, you're basically ready to move in because you've talked about everything, gone through everything, and you're just like, well, I am emotionally attached to this person after 48 to 72 hours, some people a week later, and that's just their first date. So they feel like they've gotten to the point that, like, why would I live any longer without this person being underneath the same roof as me, in the same bed as me, adopting an animal, going ahead and matching our walls and decor and things together because we can't wait a healthy amount of time to get together. And because it is so hard to date queer women because we're terrible at flirting, we're terrible at being able to figure out if we're actually going to go on dates and things, that we just are like, oh, we found one, so now I'm going to move in with you. And that's literally what we end up doing.
Yeah. I've never heard this idea that it's hard to date for queer women.
Yeah, God bless the girlies out now because it was rough in the past. Like, it's hard to describe. Well, Shana, you described it actually during the photo shoot. Like, even when you make eye contact with someone, it's like new stressors that appear. Like, we're just like so apprehensive to like kind of put ourselves out there sometimes and be assertive and flirt. And it's like the what ifs will paralyze us. But, once you do find somebody, it's emotional very quickly. Like, it's very romantic. Like, you get to the shit. Like, it starts probably in that first hour. You start off with like small talk and getting the background. That second and third and fourth and beyond hours, like, you're talking the whole day. Like, it just gets really romantic. Like, it's like a 80s and 90s rom-com where they spent the entire day together doing different things, like walking in the park, getting ice cream, and it's that shit. So it gets romantic very quickly and all that. And then you're like, you get the brilliant to some idea to like, let's move in together. Like, why would we not wake up next to each other? Like, so
you are describing, like, I cannot imagine. I set up my first dates to be like an hour max. Like, I intentionally schedule like a coffee or a drink so that I don't have this like prolonged experience where if I don't know that I'm into you, then I don't want to commit to that much time. How do you have a multi-hour first date?
It can be a multi-day first date.
Yeah.
How?
But you budget like an hour to 24 plus, like is what we do. Like we're like, this could be a very short date too. Keep it cute. Thank you so much for your time and the tea and like bounce. But it could also be a multi-day thing where it's just like, even if you go your separate ways that first night, some people are intimate on the first night, but even if you go your separate ways, like you are getting together the very next day and you're hitting play, like you're just going, like you don't want to be away from that person. Like when you click, it gets so deep so quickly. So yeah, you budget an hour to 24 plus.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I would never. This is just like
pretty logical not to, but
I know. And we've been having this conversation a lot around like gay male culture and queer women culture and how dating looks, and y'all are out of control. And that's all I have to say. So it's like, this is our out of control.
No, tell me more. How are we out of control? I need to hear the details.
Oh, Shana, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, y'all just be meeting up. You have an app that says, oh, hey, this person is just near me. So now we're going to go, and without talking, without speaking, without doing anything, we're hooking up. And
it's so transactional.
It's just the most transactional experience I have ever heard of. And then to be able to hear and witness how people can just quickly be like, all right, I sent this person maybe 3 messages at most. I'm going to meet them. What do you mean you're going to meet them? Oh yeah, they're in this building here. Why do you know that? Because I sent them my full address, details, how to get into my building without any question. And I'm going to go up to this person whom I've never met before and have sex. And it's just like, wow, love this. Also, to watch friends not be able to share their feelings within their relationships. I was like, I feel like this is just a male stereotype, but to watch guys struggle and for them to come back, and the amount of conversations I've had about friends who are watching a friend date a red flag, or friends who are dating friends within the friend group, or friends who know that the other person is cheating and they have not talked about the fact that their relationship is open or not, but because gay men just go out and they're like, well, I have to hook up. I have to find the D. I have to do these things. I'm like, you all are unhinged. And our unhingedness is way too much too soon when it comes to relationships. We're talking about all our feelings, all our traumas. You're coming in and meeting all of our animals. You are in the space, and now it's like, I can't get away from you. And we just want to, like when somebody's like, I just want to be in your skin. That's what dating is like for queer women. So it's just very much opposites of the pendulum is how we swing.
It's really funny that you're describing my night last night. Have y'all heard of sniffies?
Oh, no. What is this?
Oh, this is okay. This is fun. Sniffies is like a literal map. Grindr like shows you a 9 square of, this person is 0.5 miles away or whatever. Mm-hmm. But this is a literal map. I see a map of Seattle and I see where on the map you are physically located and a picture, which is usually a picture of your dick.
Stop.
And so you can find people that are like, oh, you look like you're across the street from me. Let me click on the picture of your dick and start chatting to you. And it's way more like cruisy. It'll show like cruising spots. Mm-hmm. So if like, it'll be like, oh, this park area is really busy. There are 10 people here right now. So, you could go like just hit up the park.
No, I have never.
I could never.
But that
like,
is
what?
Nuts.
All I hear is danger. Like,
I
that's all
exactly. Exactly. I'm like knowing exactly where I am.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm lucky that I'm a 6'3" dude. So like
that would help. That helps.
It does help a lot. It does help a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the socialized differences and the very realities where it's just like I wouldn't want another woman to know where I am, even in a dating situation like that. And not to say I would ever get on like an app like that if I was single, but like that's just like not in my nature to want to do it even that way. Like even if I was like horny as fuck and I was just like, God, it still would be like probably like the slow grind of like going to the bar, meeting someone, taking a chance and all that. Like someone knowing where I am. And yeah, it's such a different world. I do envy y'all's bathhouse culture. I have always thought that's the coolest thing. Go to the sauna, do what you want, and then bounce. That would be the thing that I would want to do, that y'all do, where I was like, oh, that would be so cool if it was transactional in that way. If I just wanted to go have sex with the fine ass stranger, leave, no strings attached, and sweat out some toxins. Like, that's pretty great. The spa benefits.
Honestly, and this is why y'all's skin just glows. Like, that is what I've concluded is why gay men's faces just look so good. The skin looks so good. I'm like, y'all have bathhouses you can go to. Congratulations.
The Seattle bathhouses don't have any, like, our Steamworks doesn't have any actual steam. Like, they took out the actual, so we're not even pretending anymore. Like, this isn't a sauna. We're not even pretending it's a sauna. Okay, but I want to get back to lesbians. We're talking about the U-Haul stereotype. What would you do on a multi-day date? Describe what, the first hour you really click, things are going really well. Like, how does it progress from there?
So I feel like Friday, like let's just take this as a weekend. So like Friday is the first date, and you're telling your friend, I don't know how this is going to go, blah, blah, blah. Once that hour turns into like multi-hour, and in your mind, like, I want to see this person the next day. Saturday might be brunch or doing something, outdoorsy, like, I don't know, active, go walk somewhere in public and everything. So you're still talking, you're going to get lunch, you might get dinner, you might not. Or you see them the next day. And again, that could be brunch in itself, or the reverse of what Saturday could be. But you're going to keep doing activities that allow you to really get to talk to them and get to know them. And then also, like, for me, see them in different clothing and all that for vanity reasons. But, you know what I mean? It's like you just want to be around them in different settings of stuff. So what started as like dinner and drinks would be brunch, or going to the park, going to a bookstore, like getting to really, and that's why I get so emotional so quickly. Like, it is very much a rom-com. Like, it's all that cutesy bullshit like that. You get to it, go make bracelets and shit like that. Like, you're just doing shit you probably wouldn't even do. But that's how it turns into, like, you just are like, what if we did this together? And it might be something you would have done solo if you hadn't met that person, but you're like, what if they go with me? And what if they like it? And you know what I mean? Like, so it's shit like that. That's how it turns into.
Yeah, it is definitely a lot of talking that happens. And then you just move and talk. And then you move to another location and continue to talk. And another location. And then it's like movie, but we're going to whisper talk throughout the whole movie. And all of the things, it's just, we have to keep talking. And then it will continue. Like, I've had a date that started off like, okay, hey, we're going to go and grab like breakfast snacks. And then we're going to go sit in a picnic. And then we're probably hungry. Like, we should probably go eat. And then it's like, hey, do you want to come over and watch a movie? And then we're cuddling, and then we're making out, and then we're talking more. And then it's like, well, you're here and it's nighttime. That's dangerous. You shouldn't go home. You should just stay here. And next day, hey, you probably fit in some of my clothes. Do we want to go out for breakfast? And similar to the schedule that Kris had. And it's just all of these things that make sense, but it's very caring in that way. But it's also, it reverberates around the talking phase. The talking phase is expedited into a much shorter time frame when it comes to the U-hauling time.
I would like to add too, if it does get there and you do fuck, then you are fucking the rest of the weekend too.
Yes.
In addition to going to the park. Like, that is happening multiple times over the weekend as well. If y'all get to there that weekend. If it's like, if it goes there Friday night, then Saturday, we're probably getting up for dinner later because we've been fucking all day. And then it's like that,
Yeah.
So
it's all or nothing.
Caveats.
All or nothing. Like, you are either fucking or you're not. And you're just like being a cute little rom-com. So that's another caveat.
Yeah. Okay, this is part of the differences, I think, between the stereotypes. Fucking all day. That sounds exhausting. No. I don't fuck for all day.
No, that is another male thing. That's
great.
People with penises, just y'all pump and dump and keep it moving, and we're like, no, we gotta. There are waves. There are times. The orgasms can be aplenty throughout the day, and there's so many things that we can use and so much fun we can have. It's great. Like, for us, it can be a marathon, and it's very joyful in those things. So
chop it up, talk in between, get some snacks and all that, and then it's like it's
right back at it.
That, like, we're fine, we're back at it, and you get back to fucking. So
what do you talk? I don't know that I have that much to talk about. I would be like,
surprised.
Really?
Yeah. You'd be surprised. Yeah. I mean, if you really, y'all know, like, when you really click with somebody, even if it's platonic, like, you could talk about anything. So that's the thing that also helps. It's like, it's such a mix of different conversations. Like you're really judging this full person, and that's why it's getting emotional, because you're asking questions of things that like how they would be as a partner and then as a friend in a way. So you are talking about everything. And yeah, seeing where you click, where you don't click, and what they could put you on to and teach you about. Like it's a lot of conversation.
Yeah. Take your 3 months of dating and shove it into a weekend.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what that is.
I didn't ask him his name.
See,
Exactly.
I just want us to continue to circle back to whatever happened last night. And that's what.
And here I am thinking of, is it Sniffies? I'm like thinking of the dick icons and just imagining like us putting like lips up as a profile. Right. Like, it's
Yes.
different, just lips up. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'll see about them. I'll see what it looks like. Like, can you like just being on the app and just being like, okay, I mean, I'll see what it's about. Let's just see what the rest of the body looks like.
I'm one of the rare people that actually has a face picture up on Sniffies. Most people do just have dick pics, but I don't like. That's great. You're great, dick. I'm so happy for you. Yeah. But I want to see what you look like.
Yeah.
And
have you ever like have you ever just gotten into it and just been like, I'm just looking for the most beautiful dick out here, and how does that turn out if you have? Like, I think that's just so interesting. Like being led that way. Like for anybody who does that.
What I have done, not just dick alone, but I have met up with a discreet guy who only wanted to show body pictures. Okay. And he had a great body. He was like, I don't send face pictures because I'm discreet. And so I did meet up with him. And it was great because we just kind of kept the lights down. So it didn't really matter, like great body, like I can feel that doesn't really matter what your face looks like at that point.
Yeah, I do like the body thing when y'all just do and I was like, okay, yeah, you got to go ahead, put it in the icon. The dick that's interesting. And I'm sure you have to have dick confidence to have a dick pic, profile pic. But like, I do like the torso thing. It's kind of cool.
I like your idea of the lesbian version of just lips.
Just lips. Just lips. Yeah.
All I see is just like it moving, like as you're walking, just the icon just moving. All the lips are on the move. Like I just don't.
I am on the lips. I am now on the lips. Like, yeah. And again, maybe the younger generations, because it's different for them. Like Gen Z, queer, lesbians, it's probably so much different. And maybe it is more transactional and all that. But like, for us millennials and up, it's we're talking. We're talking.
Yeah. That's a good point. Does this stereotype still apply today? Do you think this is still a stereotype?
Largely, yes. I just think socialization wise, like they're probably more forward than we were. Like, we run by like tension and angst. Whereas they, I don't know what they run on, but they're just more in tune with their feelings and expressing their feelings.
Well, I think that's driving more of a U-Haul culture, honestly, because the children today, they have much more words and much more intuition and much more astrology than we had. And so I think that is causing a lot of folks to get together as well. But I think on the flip side of it, I think the kids today also know more of what they want and are more confident in their sexualities at an earlier age. And so they are able to kind of go in and be like, no, it's not working for me. And
they can also see the pitfalls of it, like moving in too soon. And then like that, once that does wear off, and that's where the downside of U-hauling gets to, is like, oh, you finding out like 3 months later or within that, like, oh, I actually don't like this person. And you moved them in, y'all have a lease together. And it is like, that is very prevalent in our community as well. Like lesbians who are still together because of the lease and because they U-hauled too soon and found out like they actually don't really like this person. But now they, have financial, they're financially kind of tangled to them for whatever duration of time. And so that happens too. So I do think that's talked about more or it's seen. So maybe that is something that the younger generation could avoid. But like that's a real thing too, of having a little buyer's remorse with it.
Yeah. What are the other things to watch out for? What would you suggest if someone is in the process of U-hauling? What kind of things do you look out for in order to avoid like some major pitfalls?
Just not moving in together so soon.
Just not doing it.
Don't do it. Like don't do it. Like the whole thing. Like it's just. yeah, you don't really know somebody until you like live with them. And while there's absolutely some success stories, like I think that it could be healthier in the long run for y'all to keep your individual spaces, even if you're over each other's house all the time, which happens a lot. Just still keep your own individual spaces and everything, until, I don't know, like for me, like get like at least 6 to 9 months down the road. And that's very generous. Like I would say after a year, but like if it just went there and y'all really, think y'all vibe and that should happen, then at least give it some time. But some people like really do like within a month or two move in with the person that they had just met. And that's nuts. So
yeah, I would say look out for the person who is too comfortable too quickly.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
I was like, or that person who's at like an in-between where they're like, oh, like I'm thinking about moving out from my roommates. I'm having a lot of issues with them and blah, blah, blah. And they have this whole backstory for why they want to do the move-in. No, this is their MO. Mm-hmm. This is a serial U-hauler because they're just in the relationship for the household. They can't afford it themselves. They don't want to live with a roommate. They'd rather have somebody that they can at least fuck while they're living with them. And you just have to pay attention to the general red flags of like control, balance and chores, things like that. Like people who naturally come over and hang out or friends, like they will offer to do something to help make your life a bit easier. If I host a party, my friends are like, get out of the kitchen, we're cleaning it. You have that person who comes over and genuinely, wants to help or can like help make decisions and respects your place and things like that. I think sometimes people U-Haul and then they realize that the person that they're with is a slob and does not care about your stuff because it's not their stuff. And that becomes really difficult as well. So it's like, pay attention to how they respect you in the space. And I think that's the easiest way to address how it would be living with that person.
It does seem valuable to, if the date does go to someone's place, then you get a little bit more intimacy in terms of like understanding how they live, what their living situation looks like, what their place looks like. That gives you a little bit more details on what it would be like to live with them.
Yeah, but you also have to look out for like I don't know, it's like the reality show effect, like for like Love is Blind or some of those dating shows where they go back and see maybe it's like 90 Day Fiance. Anyways, they're setting their spot up to look, they're misrepresenting themselves. Like you also that's why you have to continue to date and see how this person really is, because like they can make it look wonderful for that first month. And then, then they, the whole Cinderella effect and like all the magic leaves. And it's like, oh, this person is actually not who they say they are. So you just have to date to make sure that person is who they are, like it could be a magical weekend and all that, but you really need to give the time to see who this person is, like for anybody. But yeah, for us, especially.
Yeah. I was going to ask if this stereotype is true, and we've been talking about it like it is true. Like, is there truth behind this stereotype? Is there any misconceptions behind it?
Yep, there are definitely misconceptions. I think they think that every queer person, especially queer women, U-Hauls. Like that's the goal. That's what we want to aim for, is like if we aren't moving in with this person, then it's not going to work out. Also, U-Hauling for some people does absolutely work. There are some like amazing relationships that are still going years down the line who are like, we did that. And it's fantastic. I also think that the other stereotype is like that queer women can't date. So they just end up U-Hauling and they can't actually like handle a dating timeline, which is also untrue because majority of us actually do follow the timeline and wait and date and do these things. So I think there's definitely like an assumption that that's all we do. And we are automatically just going to be homemakers together and building this cute little house and be HGTV queers at all times. And it's like, that's not the case. Also, if you do U-Haul, that doesn't mean that you have to be with that person forever. I think there's a stereotype that once you U-Haul, that you have to be with that person that you U-Hauled with. And it's not U-Haul forever. It's just U-Haul.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Do either of you fit this stereotype?
No, I never U-Hauled, but I get it. I definitely get it. Like, again, the emotions of it and wanting somebody to be, wake up to that person. I get it, but it is just,
That's a no from Kris.
No, you got to really know somebody. You really got to know somebody. Like, I guess I could even say in some ways, like with my wife, we were friends before and we lived long distance. And then when I moved out here, I had a hotel for a while. I was getting a job. Well, while I started my job, but we ended up moving in, and even that was like difficult. And this is like, we've had a friendship. The only way it worked was because we had a friendship for years before. But like, we joke about it now, like us, like we could have probably benefited from living separately in the beginning of time, because again, when you live with someone, it's just different. Like you see them, like it's different. But we had been friends for like 3 years and know each other and everything, so that helped smooth things over. But whew, like living with somebody for the first time, like everybody has their own ways of doing things. It's not even the cleanliness things. It's just like, you know, she doesn't like to sleep with the TV on, and I do. It soothes me. So I had to learn to like sleep in a fucking cave. You know, and it's better for you actually. The cave, but sleep is better. You know, how you wash things, like how you load the dish, like everything. Mm-hmm. So that was you, Holly, but I knew her for 3 years before. So no, it doesn't really qualify, but it felt like that. I was like, ooh, how did the girls do it? Like, I could imagine doing it truly after a month.
Truly. Yeah. I'm kind of like Kris, where it was like a delayed thing where I think we did move in a little too quickly, but it was still like a year into the relationship that we moved in a little too quickly. And we realized like, oh, we could have definitely benefited from some more time living separately, but because she had moved to a new city and then I was nomading around the US for a bit, and then I came to visit, and we were like, wow, this is just like really nice and really great. Like, why don't we just continue doing it? We have been dating for over a year. What's the issue? And then we stopped and we're like, we definitely could have taken more time. And it's like, we still live together, but it's like we both recognized like, oh, we could have had some more independent time, some more like your house, my house time, and go from there. So I think it was a delayed U-hauling.
Yeah.
Interesting. It sounds like you both had this kind of delayed U-haul, like while you didn't move too fast in the relationship overall, there was maybe a little bit of a quick move in turnaround.
Yeah. That's why it's like, I get it and have kind of lived it, but I mean, you really do benefit from having your own space for a while you're dating somebody seriously. Because so much to learn about the other person.
Yes.
All that. And then like being able to go back home to your own space is like a peace of mind that is like worth the rent to, you know, again, whether it is having a disagreement or if you're just spending too much time together, being able to leave and go home, like, oh, I got to go home and, you know, water the plants or whatever, like being able to take that time is like super important. So it worked out for us too, but it was, I wouldn't do it the, I guess, traditional way of meeting somebody and moving that quickly.
Yeah. Well, I looked up some data to figure out, is there any data that supports this? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about, this is a study called Commitment Timing in Same-Sex and Different Sex Relationships by Taylor Orth and Michael Rosenfeld. And it was published in the Population Review Journal. They analyzed 3,000 couples, and they said that, quote, contrary to popular conceptions of lesbians as eager to commit, our results indicate that after controlling for couple age, there are no significant differences in relative rates of cohabitation among couple types. So they found that once you control for some of the other factors, lesbians didn't actually move in quicker than other orientations.
See, look at me. Look at me. I'm a scientist. I already knew.
You knew that. Yeah, you didn't need this study.
I was like, we're good.
Study.
But I'm glad to have Taylor, Michael, thank you for your work.
Right, exactly.
But it's interesting. What it did find is that same-sex couples tended to be older when they met. So on average, the female couples were 34 versus male-female couples were 26. So women tended to be older when they met, and older people tended to move in more quickly. So it's like indirectly it may be true, but it's because of the age thing, not because of the lesbian part.
Yeah, which makes sense because, you know, when you're that age. And I was, well, 26. Yeah, when I got together with my wife and this happened. So, yeah, if I was, I'm going to be 36 in October, you know what you want by then. Like, it is just like, I feel like they get to it when you date and you're older. So that lines up just across the board. You kind of know when you're in your late 30s, mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
Like that. We have the data. We have the data.
I also wanted to ask, when you do move in, let's say, regardless of when it is, what kind of advice do you have for moving in a lesbian relationship?
There's a lot of communication that has to happen ahead of time. So be sure to talk about all of the things. Talk about your habits. Talk about, the things that you hope and want for each of your spaces. Do you all need to have separate spaces? The answer is always yes. Just so you know. Like, you all would be like, oh, we could totally do a 1-bedroom. We're going to be fine. Until the day that person's chewing pisses you off and you can't escape it anywhere in your house. So please have that time. Even though you live together, have time apart. Like, it's so easy for you to get in there and then for you to have a schedule that mirrors your partner's. And then that's all you're doing is the same thing together at all times. And you're getting no breaks. So time and breaks are very key things. Have transparent conversations around the chores that you enjoy and don't enjoy, because the things that you enjoy, your partner the things you enjoy, your partner could be like, thank God, I never want to touch a dish again in my life. And you could be like, that is a relaxing thing for me. And vice versa. You could never want to sweep the floor just because it's annoying. And they could be like, I got this. And those are things to be able to just establish. And then just like your routines, figure those out. Talk about them. See it, especially as, if you're living apart from someone, like, just learn what they do so that you can address each of those things as well. Because then you're just going to sit and kind of get minorly pissed off at them the whole time because they're not doing something. So just assume that they don't know that it bothers you, and then communicate what you want and go from there. But the number one thing is always finding time, having space.
Yeah.
What about any advice for if you are in a relationship with people that have different kind of levels of interest of moving in? Like, what if one person wants to move more quickly than the other person? How would you handle that?
Yeah, they just have to be patient to when you're ready and you get there. I feel like you approach the conversation and frame it in a way where it's like, I would love to live with you, but I think that for the health of the relationship, like, we should still have our own spaces as we're continuing to get to know each other. Like, in addition to all the tips that Shana said, like, you got to know each other's conflict styles too. Like, how do y'all resolve conflict? What happens in the heat of battle? Is one person withdrawn and wants some space? Does the other person want to talk it out immediately? There's just so much to learn. And it's like, you could frame it as something that you're both going to work towards and that you would consider, but like, you do need to stand in, like, this is my boundary. I do want to have my own space to go back to, for the health of the relationship. Like, I do want this to work, but like, I'm going to need more time to be able to work up to that. So, but if it's a situation where you've been together for a long time, I do think that there should be a time limit on that, because that person might want to, I don't know. I just feel like if you're like in a relationship, or you've been in a relationship for like multi-years, then you should kind of know by then, like, if you want to move in with that person and be honest. So that's the other side of it. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all the insight. Any last words on U-hauling before we go?
Yeah, would not recommend. That's
the summary
overall.
Of this discussion.
10 out of 10. Don't recommend unless it's the U-Haul party that happens in San Francisco. That's really the only one I would suggest. But otherwise, no, it's okay. We can relax. That's my main message. Yeah. It's okay. We don't have to. Yeah. We don't have to do that. You'll still like each other if you live in your own places and your own spaces.
You really will. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, by the way. So,
And Kris and Shana, where can people find more about yourselves or Bad Queers?
Yeah, you can follow us on all social media platforms at Bad Queers Pod, or if you ever want to sit and message us and do anything, you can email us at badqueerspodcast@gmail.com.
Awesome. Definitely go check out the Bad Queers podcast. And I think we did it. So we are going to take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We did it.
We did it.
Well, you did it.
I did it. What do you think of U-hauling, Derek?
Well, I thought it was great. The Bad Queers had an amazing perspective, which I have never seen as not being a lesbian, right? So it was real interesting to hear the other side of the LGBTQ coin.
Yeah, for sure. And on the Patreon segment, you and I talked more about moving in and tips for that. So check out Patreon segment for that. Just the tips. Well, we're going to do our Gayest and Straightest.
Great. I'm ready. Oh,
but
no,
first,
I'm not ready. But
not
first.
ready yet. But first, our website is gayishpodcast.com. We are on socials at Gayish Podcast. You can send us a text message or leave us a voicemail. It's 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply. Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com. And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. All right, Gayest and Straightest.
All right. You're going first? Who's doing this? How does this work?
I'll go first. Whoever just volunteers.
Great.
And I will go first. My gayest is I went online shopping. I bought 2 new pairs of shoes and I bought some new jeans. That's about it. My jeans always do this. They form a hole in the crotch. So I got to get new jeans so I no longer have easy access.
Isn't that the goal?
That's the goal. Pride. I can celebrate pride with these jeans. But
it's kind of like assless chaps, but
yeah, totally. This is my version of assless chaps. It's just ripped hole in the crotch. Just as hot, I'm sure. My straightest is watching a Wes Anderson film.
Who is Wes Anderson? That may be my gayest. Should I know who he is?
I watched the movie Asteroid City. He's done I think he did the Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay, all right.
Other films, but
sounds straight to me.
It felt pretty straight while it was happening.
Yeah.
It was a weird movie that I don't know if I liked. What about you?
Well, last night I went to go see a musical. And not only did I see the musical, but I had to hold myself back from singing along. And the person who went with got a full history of the musical and the original Broadway cast and history of the story. I'm sure it was a lot for him. I can be a lot.
What musical?
Spring Awakening.
Nice.
Yeah. Straightest. I have a yard at my new home. I've been here since September. And I went and bought some tools at the Ace Hardware to go pull weeds and dig up plants, and do like some trimming or hedging or whatever it is that people do in the yard. I did it.
Yeah, you did it. How's it look now?
I mean, it could be better.
So you give yourself like what, a C+?
I wouldn't pay myself again. No, I wouldn't rehire me.
Okay. Well, I think we did it. I think that is it. So thank you to all the lesbians who U-Haul and made it work.
Yeah, thank you, lesbians.
Yeah. And thank you to the Bad Queers for being on. They're awesome. Definitely go check out the Bad Queers podcast. And thank you to our super gap bridgers. Thank you to Locomotive. Ooh, hi, Locomotive. Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squoggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crowley, Yost Osel, Jonathan Montañez, Wadu, Forrest Nail, Patrick Martin, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Covington, Just Jamie, Thomas B., Dusty Sands, A.E. Coleman, Chris Cagitatorians, and Jerome York. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you, Patreon.
And thanks for your money. That's it. This has been Gayish. Thanks, Derek, too, for
you're welcome
for joining and replacing Mike. He'll never be on again. It's the Kyle and Derek show now.
Yes, forever and ever.
Forever and ever. But thanks for helping out this episode.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here. Easy and willing.
Hot. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian studio. I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you. See ya.
Bye.
Cool. You ready to go?
Yes, but I did no research on U-Hauls, so this will be great.
That's none needed.
Okay.